guys, Matthew here and welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we are following up the best possible series with the worst possible series. Yes, with every yin there's a yang. I think I mentioned this in a video previously, so I'm not going to go into that again, but yeah, basically it is the worst possible series. And if you guys don't know what this is, I first of all strongly suggest you go back and watch my best possible series, because you're probably going to need as much positivity before this video as what you can get. But yeah, the worst possible series is just the same as the best possible series, but the opposite. It's another fantastic creation of mine. It's another brilliant series that I've been doing for 6, coming on 7 years now, and I do it after every single series of Doctor Who. It's like the best possible series, but when we go through all the series openers, all the episode 2s, all the episode 3s, instead of picking our favourite, we pick our least favourite. So we basically are constructing the most hellish marathon of modern Doctor Who. Your own personal hellish marathon. So yeah, if you ever want to test yourself or your sanity, you could sit yourself in a dark room, locked away, and you could watch these episodes in order to see if you can survive. Or you can get your friend or enemy to do it, and once you find out what their worst possible series is, you tie them up and you make them watch it. That's probably against the law somewhere, holding someone against their will and tying them up and making them watch The Wedding of River Song, for example. That's definitely probably against the law. I feel sorry for whoever has to do that. Nevertheless, let's do it for the fun of it anyway. Let's construct my worst possible series of Doctor Who. God, this is going to be fun. So, starting with the series openers, we have Rose, New Earth, Smith and Jones, Partners in Crime, The 11th Hour, The Impossible Astronaut, Asylum of the Daleks, Deep Breath, The Magician's Apprentice, The Pilot, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and Spyfall Part 1. Now, it's hard to pick a bad opener. You know, is there such thing as a bad series opener? Really? Because they all have to, like I said in the best possible series, have to follow the same sort of template. A lot of them have to tick off a few things that you have to sort of do in a series opener. So, none of them are especially terrible, but there is one that I always just find tough to watch, and that does remain to be my least favourite series opener, and that is New Earth. I just think, and I know in a series opener, it's not about great villains necessarily. It's not, a good villain's not the priority. It's normally introducing a companion or a doctor or a new arc or whatever. But I just flipping hate Cassandra. I think she's just one of Russell's worst ideas, and I just think she was never worthy of starting a series. And this was the 10th Doctor's first full episode, and he spent quite a lot of it acting and prancing around like a woman, with Cassandra inside of him, just acting stupid, and then when she got into Rose, she was acting a bit stupid as well, and it was just a bit silly for a series opener. So yeah, all the others I can, happily sit and watch and tolerate and enjoy. New Earth, not so much. Episode 2s, and we've got The End of the World, Tooth and Claw, The Shakespeare Code, The Fires of Pompeii, The Beast Below, Day of the Moon, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, Into the Dalek, The Witch's Familiar, Smile, The Ghost Monument, and Spyfall Part 2. Now again, the episode 2s aren't that bad either. There's a few in there that I think are a little bit sort of mediocre. Smile is one that I don't think stands out in many ways at all. Into the Dalek as well was a bit average. Same with the Shakespeare Code, really. But there is one episode 2 that I think stands out in the worst way as my least favourite, and that is Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. I mean, there's nothing else to it. It is dinosaurs on a spaceship with a group of sidecast and historical figures who they've clearly picked out of a raffle, because they are so random. They have nothing to them, no chemistry. It is just like in the writer's room. No offence, Chris Chibnall, I know you wrote this masterpiece. It's like they just thought, right, we're just gonna have fun this week, guys. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get this Fez. We're gonna stick loads of different potential villains in there. We're gonna stick loads of potential weird characters in there, and we're gonna just draw them out and we'll see what we come up with. We'll also put two random words together and they can be the title. Okay, so we'll have this random woman, I can't remember her name, random explorer dude, don't remember his name either. We've got the Doctor and his crew. The Doctor was really, really annoying in this episode, by the way. And then the title, Dinosaurs on a, oh, that's not generic, spaceship. You get the point. It was rubbish. You know, Solomon was probably the only decent thing about it. But like I said, a lot of the time the Doctor can pull you through an episode that is, you know, quite bad. But I think this was one of the few episodes where Matt Smith's 11th Doctor's silliness got a little bit too annoying for me. So, yeah, unfortunately, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship is and remains to be my least favourite episode too. Episode 3, and we've got The Unquiet Dead, School Reunion, Gridlock, Planet of the Ood, Victory of the Daleks, Curse of the Black Spot, A Time Called Mercy, Robot of Sherwood, Under the Lake, Thin Ice, Rosa, and Orphan 55. Now, Curse of the Black Spot has been my least favourite for a long time, because let's be honest, the episode 3s are pretty good. You know, Victory of the Daleks is one that I've grown to sort of just get over, you know, in the last couple of years. But, you know, Thin Ice, Robert Sherwood, Town Called Mercy, Gridlock, and Quiet Dead, Planet of the Ood, they're all good, they're all solid. Even going as far to, you know, Rosa, which was an awesome historical episode last series. There's not many that stand out to being bad at all. And that's why I always sort of thought the Curse of the Black Spot had that safe, unfortunate position of never being really under any threat from any other episode. But this year it has been trumped, because my new least favourite episode 3 is Orphan 55. Yes, it is. It's a shame to put a series 12 episode in there. But yeah, I didn't like Orphan 55 at all. I thought the dregs were really disappointing. When they were revealed fully, they were exposed to being really, really sort of ordinary. The twist on it being set on Earth was predictable. And the worst thing was that the whole episode was built up to the Doctor just preaching. Benny didn't help. That woman who just screamed Benny continuously, that didn't help. But other than that, you know, there was random characters in there, like that woman and her daughter who loved and hated each other and had more heel face turns than the Big Show. If that's, you know, if any of you watch wrestling, you'll know that reference. It was just a bit of a mess, and then it was summed up at the end by a very forced speech by the Doctor, and an ending which just had me sat there thinking, what the f have I just watched? Yeah, definitely the low point of Series 12 for me. Orphan 55 unfortunately takes its place in my worst possible series. Episode 4's now, and we have Aliens of London, The Girl in the Fireplace, Daleks in Manhattan, The Suntarum Stratagem, Time of Angels, The Doctor's Wife, The Power of Three, Listen, Before the Flood, Knock Knock, Arachnids in the UK, and Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Good episodes, I'd say, overall. Not many poor ones at all. One that I used to always sort of put in there was The Power of Three. But again, that's one that over time I've sort of grown to appreciate. I thought some of the scenes between the Doctor and the companions were lovely in that, although the villain and the threat was a little bit lacking with the cubes and everything. I've sort of grew to appreciate that episode a bit more. And again, episode 4 is going to be taken up by an episode from the Jodie Whittaker era. And it's not Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Don't worry, that's a good episode. It is Arachnids in the UK. Now, I've not watched this episode since it aired again, so forgive me if I don't remember too much from it. But what I do remember is I didn't like it very much. And the only good thing was the look of the spiders. I remember the sidecast were pretty rubbish. It wasn't really written well in the fact that we never really got a full wrap up on the spiders. They still could be spiders easily out there. Just how it was all wrapped up by trapping them in a room, it just felt very, very lackluster. And the villain with that American dude in it, he was just a bad sort of representation of Donald Trump. So, yeah, Arachnids in the UK is just a forgettable episode of Doctor Who, and I think rightfully takes its place in my worst possible series. Episode 5's then, and we've got World War III, Rise of the Cybermen, Evolution of the Daleks, The Poison Sky, Flesh and Stone, The Rebel Flesh, The Angels Take Manhattan, Time Heist, The Girl Who Died, Oxygen, The Saranga Conundrum, and Fugitive of the Jadoon. Now, as I said in my last video, when we get to two-parters in series, it's tough to include one without the other, so naturally most of the time I go with the single-parters. And this is a bad time to be a Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker fan, because once again, I'm going to go with an episode from that era. And my least favourite episode 5 is the Saranga Conundrum, which was so boring. Oh my god, it's everything that I've not liked about the Chris Chibnall era. All the little traits that I don't like, this was it. Crap villain, the Pating. Awful. The 13th Doctor spent the whole episode just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. Her worst trait, if you ask me. This was when she was at her worst for me. We had random side characters like a pregnant dude. It was just a mangle of just what the hell. The true extent of what was happening was never truly explored and shown on screen, so you could never really believe what was going on. It was just a boring drag of an episode of Doctor Who, and it was just the Doctor trying to just talk about everything and anything. And the Pating is just enough for me. No, I can't ever get over how that villain blew up like it did. I just didn't get it. So, call me miserable, call me whatever, but the Saranga Conundrum was rubbish, and will be in my worst possible series. Episode 6 then, and we've got Dalek, The Age of Steel, The Lazarus Experiment, The Doctor's Daughter, The Vampires of Venice, The Almost People, Bells of St. John, The Caretaker, Woman Who Lived, Extremis, Demons of the Punjab, and Praxeus. This was a tough one, because I think I said it in the best possible series. The episode 6s aren't the best. You've got Dalek, The Age of Steel, and maybe the Bells of St. John as like sort of really good episodes or decent episodes. The rest are sort of average. There's certainly competition in there. Vampires of Venice, The Almost People, I think Demons of the Punjab maybe. Praxeus wasn't great either. But none of them, and I think Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker will be glad to hear that, I do not have one of their episodes in my worst possible series. My actual least favourite episode 6 is The Woman Who Lived from series 9. I just didn't like the whole two-parter anyway. I thought The Girl Who Died was better, to be honest. Or was it better? I can't remember. But I just remember going into that episode having no care or love for Ashilda's character at all. So I wasn't really invested at all in that whatsoever. I remember the whole cat villain being really rubbish as well. And looking back, this episode had nothing to it whatsoever. I really didn't like it very much. And there's a reason why I've never went back to rewatch it. It's just sort of there. It exists. And it's an episode I will not rush back to see again. So yeah, unfortunately for me, yeah, Woman Who Lived is going to be my least favourite episode 6. Episode 7, and we have The Long Game, The Idiot's Lantern, 42, Unicorn and the Wasp, Amy's Choice, A Good Man Goes to War, The Rings of Akaten, Kill the Moon, The Zygon Invasion, The Pyramid at the Centre of the World, Kablam, and Can You Hear Me? We took a detour from Chris Chibnall's era. We're going straight back in again. I've always had The Idiot's Lantern as my least favourite. Episode 7. But I have replaced it. It has finally been replaced, and as much as I still am not a fan of The Idiot's Lantern, I at least found it watchable. I can't say this for my new least favourite episode 7. It's Can You Hear Me? And I think this is going to be the one that people disagree with the most, because I was one of the few people who really didn't like this episode from Series 12. I just did not enjoy it at all. It started well enough as well. That's the frustrating thing, but it just tailed off with these whole gods who we never had anything to suggest that they were gods or anything that we should have believed that they were gods. No reason to believe that whatsoever. Who then suddenly turn up and want to just take people you know, and use people's fears and nightmares. And how were they defeated? A woman overcomes, a random woman from 500 years ago has overcome a fear. Don't people overcome their fears daily? No, the idea was just a shallow, nonsensical episode of Who, and I think more frustrating because I think it did have the potential. But I've never went on my phone as much as I have with an episode like this one in a long time, and I've never finished an episode feeling just so bored. So yeah, it's a shame. The second episode from series 12 to make it on the worst possible series, but unfortunately it's in there. Can You Hear Me is my least favourite episode 7. Episode 8 now, and we have Father's Day, The Impossible Planet, Human Nature, Silence in the Library, The Hungry Earth, Let's Kill Hitler, Cold War, Mummy on the Orient Express, The Zygon Inversion, Lie of the Land, The Witchfinders, and The Haunting of Villa Diodati. So, we're going back now to Series 6, because it is Let's Kill Hitler, and it always will be. I would be very surprised to see an episode knock this one off. Liv especially hates this episode. I don't dislike it as much as she does, but I thought Let's Kill Hitler was a kick in the nutsack for Series 6. I'm not going to spoil my... This probably is going to spoil it. If you've not seen my Best Possible series, I basically praise the hell out of Good Man Goes to War. And if you know me, that won't be a surprise. You know I love that episode. It was a great mid-season finale to Series 6. It left you with a cliffhanger. It just had carried so much great momentum into that second part of the series. And Let's Kill Hitler basically took all of that, scrumpled it up, took a on it, basically, burnt it and threw it in the bin. It just didn't continue on at all. It brought melody into it, or whatever a bloody name was. It made the River Song thing even more unnecessarily confusing. The whole Tesselector thing was rubbish as well, and went on to be rubbish in the finale. And the whole thing, like with Hitler and locking him in a cupboard, they made they sort of made it funny. And it was just wrong. It was just wrong. The whole thing just felt a bit off. So yeah, Let's Kill Hitler. It's an episode I'd like to forget ever happened in Series 6. It's a shame, really. It followed A Good Man Goes to War, but it is the worst episode 8. Episode 9 now, and we have The Empty Child, The Satan Pit, Family of Blood, Forest of the Dead, Cold Blood, Night Terrors, Hide, Flatline, Sleep No More, Empress of Mars, It Takes You Away, and Ascension of the Cybermen. We're getting to the part of the worst possible series which I like to look at as the abyss. The deep, dark, horrible abyss which will never ever be matched. And the next couple of episodes will be no surprise to any of you guys. It is a... and if I was to be marathoning this, I mean, this would be... I think this would be the part that killed me off. I don't think I'd make it past this in episode 10. And to be honest, it's probably a good thing that I don't. My least favourite episode 9 is Sleep No More. And I remember it briefly. I've not watched it since it aired. So you're going back to the 2015 when we were at the Doctor Who Festival. I remember being sat on the bus on the way back from the festival thinking this episode's going to be awesome, getting home and it being so rubbish. But Sleep No More was just the most unwatchable episode of Doctor Who ever. The way it started, the way it finished, there was no titles, the villains were rubbish, it was like Sleep in Your Eye, oh god. Let's just say Sleep No More was an experiment that went wrong. You know, props to them for trying it, but it went wrong. It fell flat on its arse, and I'm not surprised the supposed sequel to it was never properly developed, I guess. So yeah, Sleep No More was dreadful, and I never have any plans to go back and rewatch it. It's one of them I'll only ever rewatch if I truly want to do a marathon. Yeah, it was awful, and will always probably be my least favourite episode 9. Episode 10s, and like I said last time, the lineup of this is pretty impressive, but we have The Doctor Dances, Love and Monsters, Blink, Midnight, Vincent and the Doctor, The Girl Who Waited, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, In the Forest of the Face the Raven, The Eaters of Light, The Battle of Ranskorav Kolos, and The Timeless Children. Now there's a lot of average episodes in here. The Battle of Ranskorav Kolos is one, The Eaters of Light is another one, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS is another one. Love and Monsters, I think a lot of people will probably have in there. I've said before, I have a little soft spot for Love and Monsters. I used to hate it. I used to despise it. But with my old age, as I said, 24 now, yeah, I've grew to sort of like it. But it is in no way worse than In the Forest of the Shit. That episode, it's just terrible and pointless. Literally, it is pointless. Not only does it have annoying, terrible, atrocious child sidecast, it also has Danny Pink. Enough. And the story is just so meaningless. Like, alright, the world grows, like a forest of trees covers the world overnight. There's a solar flare, the trees protect the earth. That's it. Oh, Danny Pink fought off a tiger randomly. That was something. Oh, and Annabelle was hidden in a bush, which was hilarious. Just terrible. Pointless and terrible. And irrelevant. Literally, it's one of the most irrelevant episodes ever. It was terrible. Let's move on. Episode 11 now. And this was actually a tough one. A very good lineup. You've got Boomtown, Fear Her, Utopia, Turn Left, The Lodger, The God Complex, The Crimson Horror, Dark Water, Heaven Sent, and World Enough and Time. So, like I said in my last video, Series 11 and 12 only have 10 episodes, so we can move on from them now. We have narrowed this down now to the first 10 series. Episode 11 is a very good lineup. There's some incredible episodes in there. But I think for my worst possible series, it comes down to The Crimson Horror or Fear Her, which aren't terrible episodes. They're not. So this is probably the only part of the worst possible series which has an episode in there that it's harsh in a way, but it is just in such a good lineup of episodes. And I'm going to put Fear Her in there. I was going to pick The Crimson Horror, but Fear Her, I think, just stand out a little bit when you look at that list as being a poorer episode. The idea of it and everything's okay, but I think the child actor who played Chloe Webber was quite rubbish. And it felt more like something you get on the Sarah Jane Adventures or CBeebies or CBBC maybe. It feels out of place with the series and everything. It's one of the episodes you can tell it was like a filler. And the whole thing with the Doctor taking the torch to the stadium, and it's a bit... I know it's Doctor Who and you've got to suspend your belief to a point, but it didn't feel like Doctor Who. This was a CBBC version of Doctor Who, just not as good as the rest of the episode 11s, okay? So Fear Her, yeah, it's my least favourite episode 11. Episode 12! Ho ho! Here we go! We've got Bad Wolf, Army of Ghosts, Sound at Night. Okay, it's Hellbent. Why should I even read through the list? It's Hellbent. It always will be Hellbent. Hellbent is the worst episode ever. It is the worst thing ever. The most disrespectful, self-destructive, insulting, stupid, contradicting piece of shit in Doctor Who. Moving on. Episode 13, we've got Parting... Okay, it's the Wedding of River Song. My God. This is what I meant by hoping I don't make it this far. Hellbent, followed by the Wedding of River Song. That's torture. That's actual torture. You know, when you look at things, look at medieval torture methods, there were some brutal ones that they used to use back in the day, but... Hellbent followed by the Wedding of River Song, that is torture. Sod White Room torture, or Hang, Drawn and Quarter, or the Raging Bull or whatever, that is the worst. Let's just move on to the specials. So there's a lot of special episodes, like I said. There's the Christmas Invasion, the Runaway Bride, Voyage of the Damned, the Next Doctor, Planet of the Dead, Waters of Mars, The End of Time, A Christmas Carol, The Doctor Within the Wardrobe, The Snowmen, The Day of the Doctor, The Time of the Doctor, Last Christmas, The Husbands of River Song, The Return of Dr. Mysterio, Twice Upon a Time, and Resolution. So, my least favourite special. Now, I obviously as you all know, not a fan of the Moffat Christmas specials. There are some good ones. The Snowmen is a particular favourite of mine. Time of the Doctor and Twice Upon a Time are quite good because of the regeneration aspect to them. But, I mean, none of the Russell specials are going to be in this worst possible series. A Christmas Carol, Doctor, Widow and the Wardrobe, Last Christmas, The Husbands of River Song, for God's sake. All pretty bad. But the worst special of all is The Return of Dr. Mysterio, which, it's not even Doctor Who. It isn't. You know, like I said earlier about suspending your belief to a point, you could suspend it to the end of the universe and back. The Return of Dr. Mysterio is silly. It's really silly. A guy gets superpowers and he's just the worst superhero ever. It's just a cringe fest. It's not Doctor Who. And to think that we had a full year break and all we got in between was The Return of Dr. Mysterio. 2016 was a rough year, wasn't it? Jesus Christ. I mean, some of the Christmas specials are cringy and silly, but you can enjoy them. This was beyond silly, beyond stupid. It just was not Doctor Who at all. So it's sort of head and shoulders above. That would make it sound good, or below. It's 6 feet under compared to the rest of them. It's rubbish. It's terrible. So let's run through my worst possible series from start to finish. Oh my god. New Earth, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, Orphan 55, Arachnids in the UK, The Saranga Conundrum, The Woman Who Lived, Can You Hear Me, Let's Kill Hitler, Sleep No More, In the Forest of the oh my god, Fear Her, Hellbent, The Wedding of River Song, and The Return of Dr. Mysterio. That is hellish. Like I said at the end of my last video, it is interesting with how I've laid this out to see where sort of my least favourite episodes are. Weirdly, there's 2 of them, 2 worst possible series episodes from Series 2, which is a surprise, to be honest. So there's 2 from Series 2, 2 from Series 6, 1 from Series 7, 1 from Series 8, 4 from Series 9, if you count The Return of Dr. Mysterio as well, 2 from Series 11, and 2 from Series 12, meaning there was none from Series 10, none from Series 5, 4, 3, or 1. So, I can see with the diagram in front of me, there's a lot more green early on in the modern series than there is red. So yeah, the worser episodes for me sort of appear later on, which is interesting. But I am sort of disappointed in a way that there are 2 episodes from Series 12 in there, to sort of counteract the 2 episodes in my best possible series from Series 12. But yeah, it's interesting as always to see, and yeah, that's a marathon I will never ever be partaking in unless I get paid to. Maybe someone wants to fund it, watch me just watch, what's that, 12, 13, 14 hours of torture. Put me through it if you want. I'll do it for charity or something, I don't know. But yeah, that is my worst possible series of Doctor Who. Yikes. So if you've enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, of course, subscribe to this channel for much more Doctor Who content to come, as well as hitting the bell to be notified when we upload every single video here on the channel. Comment below, most importantly, your worst possible series. I would love to see what your guys' worst marathons are. And yeah, if you want to obviously stay updated on everything The Who Addicts, you can like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and donate to us on Patreon. And that's it. The best and worst possible series are done once again for another year. Thank you for watching them both, guys. And yeah, I guess it'll be back after Series 13, which is a long way away. But until then, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.